Alright, Biashara Tuesday. We are live and back. Claudia Mololo watching me from Kahawa Sukari. Asante sana for creating time. It is time for us to have a look at the dailies. Any more people here? Ojwang Mariam. Hi, how are you? Good morning, sir. How are the people of Runda doing? Thank you for joining us here on the show and also on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Find us at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_Okenya. Have with me here two gentlemen who are joining me on a round table discussion on the headlines of the day. The dailies that we have here are the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily. If you have any other, the East African Review, the People's Daily, please let us know the headline especially and any important story that is over there. Who do I have with me on the show this morning? I've seen him being referred to as Honorable, so I'll just continue with that. Honorable Kimani Wachira, the President Emeritus of the TVET Students Association. I'm going to join here, and he's not alone today. He's brought along Lincoln Muema, who's a political analyst, joining us for the first time. So let me welcome Lincoln, because Kimani Wachira is a home guard. Welcome, Lincoln. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yes.
And thank you for having me here.
Right. Please pick up your kitumizi hapo. Let's also get to hear Kimani Wachira. Good morning.
Good morning too.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Right.
I hope you had a good, was it Diwali or National Tree Planting Day?
National Tree Planting Day.
No, it should be Diwali.
It was a long weekend.
Yeah, I think the government has taxed the Muslims, the Indians holiday, and what has been left is a National Tree Planting Day.
Right.
I'm Kimani Wachira, the President Emeritus, TVET Student Association, and also founder and co-chair Kiambu Youth Council, which we founded with Eric Mwasia and Madam Wanjiko Diga,
Right.
a youth leader in Kiambu, and outspoken and unapologetic youth of this republic.
Right. You thought I'd miss it, but I had it. You said they have taxed even the Indian holidays. Wamebakisha to national tree planting.
Yes, I did that because it's so unfortunate that our constitution talks about cultural heritage and religious diversity.
All right.
And then as we are having that conversation, we are told that the Indians are not going to be celebrating their national holiday, which is Diwali, where they celebrate the goddess of wealth. And it's so
it wasn't a national holiday.
Yes, it should be, it's an Indian thing. The reason why most of people don't know about it is because last year it was on a Sunday.
Okay.
The year before it was during COVID-19, so every day was a public holiday.
All right.
So people were asking, where did this come from? It was supposed to be celebrated, but it's a day that is marked to celebrate Diwali by our brothers from the Indian community.
All right. Hopefully the government also does include them, because we have many holidays. There's a complaint that Kenyans have very many holidays. Yeah, is that the case? Do you think it's it's true, Lincoln? Do you have too many holidays?
No, we don't have too many holidays. For as long as these holidays make sense, then we don't need to say that there are too many.
It's a fundamental human right.
Yeah.
But I think we do have many holidays. What I will say is either we scrap this National Tree Planting holiday and rename it to Wangari Maathai Day, and then the 10th of October is either one of the two need to be scrapped.
Right. But CS Kindiki is saying this is not going to be a continuous holiday. So next year we're not expecting any national tree planting day.
But remember, we are going to have Diwali that is marked.
All right.
And it will be a holiday.
Okay.
So I will suggest that the two are joined and we scrap off the was it Utamaduni or Huduma Day? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Who knows?
So I think it's the national committee that does national holidays that is led and chaired by Dennis Itumbi should look at all these holidays, and also most of them are slotted as we ends to the December. Okay. The first quarter
Nikazi too.
And
then holidays.
From there we don't have. I think we need also to redistribute them.
But also we also need to know the benefit of these holidays.
Okay.
You cannot just have, for example, the holiday we had on yesterday. That was a very unique holiday, and for the climate and everything, that was so beneficial to everyone.
Right.
But now the Diwali and the other things, I think we also need to go deeper. I know exactly what impact they have in our lives and in our economy. But
So it needs to be a relevant holiday, not just a
So we
holiday.
don't want irrelevant holidays. Yeah, thank
Right.
you. Yeah.
Gentlemen, while we are still on holidays, before we get into the details of the papers, on this coming Sunday, it's going to be International Men's Day / World Toilet Day. Which one are you celebrating? which of the two are you celebrating on the same day?
Okay. Men is the men are the head, man. So that's what we
need
look
to
at.
celebrate.
But again, when they say National Toilet Day, I think we also need some sensitization. We need to know exactly what this means.
Yeah.
You know, these things. Every day they say, you see, like kuna this celebration, but do people really know the meaning of this? What are they supposed to do? What's needed for them to do? Yes, you see.
Right.
So I think this is also deep. Yeah.
Not just a holiday.
Not just a
I
holiday.
like how you are very insistent on the fact that it should be a holiday with a reason, right?
With a
so
reason, yes.
si kuamka tu is it utamaduni or huduma day, you don't even know what to do with that day. You just need a holiday.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
let's get into it then. And I'll go through the headlines real quick and then you guys can join in and let me know which your favorite headline is before we get into the details, right? Here the Daily Nation. Also the papers feel really light today. Sijui kama
The editors were on holiday.
yeah, walikuwa on holiday jana, stories zimepungua. Let's get into it. The Daily Nation. Forgery claim in 17 billion fuel saga. Galana Energy Limited says consignment was to meet country's requirements. Forgery claim in 17 billion fuel saga. The port's chief are disowning documents which are presented here by businesswoman Njoroge as fake and intended to steal a consignment of diesel whose ownership has been in dispute. It's worth 17 billion Kenyan shillings, and the cargo was offloaded in contravention to court orders, even as the traders' whereabouts remain unknown. And her lawyers are suing the police bosses over the arrest. Her lawyers are suing DCI over the disappearance of businesswoman Anne Njoroge. Forgery claim in 17 billion fuel saga. And then there you have an image of President William Ruto. In pictures is Ruto and a couple of others who were with him as he launched, or as he also participated in that tree planting exercise yesterday at Q Wetland in Makueni County. Millions of trees were planted countrywide, even as the state plans to use learners to reach an ambitious 15 billion trees by 2032. That's the Daily Nation. The Standard, the headline, intrigues behind 17 billion mystery, petrol deepen. The intrigues behind 17 billion Kenyan shillings mystery petrol deepen. Kenya Ports Authority, again here as the headline, have said that the oil cargo belongs to Aramco and not Njeri, who is still missing. KPA claims it has no dealings with Njeri's company. Kimani Wachira, I'm going to request you to pass me the Business Daily right over there. And then the headline here says, Kenya's loans 60% more expensive than Tanzania and Rwanda. Kenya's loans 60% more expensive than Tanzania and Rwanda. That gives you an answer on why we are seeing foreign investors flee the NSCs. Investors are making a killing from government, and it seems the loans in Kenya are 60% more expensive than Tanzania and Rwanda. Gentlemen, what's your favorite headline there? I know the Daily Nation and the Standard have the kind of same headline, right?
Yeah.
Which one did its work? Or maybe Leonie drew?
I think the editors are trying to open the Kenyans' eye. So it's a draw about everybody's talking about the cost of living.
Yeah.
And the cost of living has skyrocketed due to the cost of fuel and other factors.
Yeah.
And when we have every day talking about fuel, it's something that is really an intrigue and something that Kenyans also want to know. That is why they have taken a bigger part of the stories in our dailies. So I'll go with, to answer your question, I'll go with, it's a draw today.
All right, Lincoln, do you think the same?
Yeah, it's a draw today. because I can see the biggest topic is 17 billion misari petrol depend. Mambo na petroli hapa. And again, that is what Kenyans want to know about. Why is the price of fuel skyrocketing every day?
Right.
So I think it's also
It's a very relevant headline.
Maybe to add
to Daily Nation and Standard.
on the pictorial, I think they were doing the exam, but one was seeing the other's paper's
it's
exam
like,
because
almost
everything.
Because even the images, right?
Yes, the images, the headlines. Only that Standard did a better job. They included the photo of the lady in question.
The missing lady in question, right?
Yes.
So Anne Jerry.
Yes.
So maybe hapo 9 out of 10, alafu hapa 8 out of 10.
But if I was the one to choose the photo, I would go with that photo that has been trending of a woman from I think northeastern part. I don't know the county who had a baby as she planted a tree. Because the tree planting is not about the presidency. If you have to meet 150 billion target or 15 billion target, it should be a people-driven, a community-driven. There is a photo that was trending, and it's in their social medias, both the Daily and the Standard, of a woman who is planting a tree, and she has a kid on her back, and it is on either the arid, semi-arid areas, and that talks about if we are able to grow trees in those regions, then we can achieve the 15 billion target.
All right.
That would have been the best photo because it captures the moment. It captures that region is known to be dry. We are trying to conserve the environment and being a representation of the people. But if we have the administration,
we only have president and
and his delegation
and his delegation. And I also see it doesn't make sense a lot, but president is a symbol of unity.
Okay.
So for him showing that it being a tree planted day, I think it's also
important to have him.
It's also important to have him because, for example, is a good example. He's showing a good example. Again, there was also a story that was trending yesterday for a young girl, 7 years old, called Scarlett, who has planted so far 5,000 trees. Yes,
Right.
she's the CEO of my team, 44 Bulldogs.
Okay.
So those are the things that we'd like to
need
hear.
to see, right?
And those are the things that will motivate everyone and
to get to participate in this kind of activities.
Because if we have to achieve, and I repeat, if we have to achieve 15 billion target, it needs to be a people-driven. Because if it's government-driven, it becomes a tree planting exercise. But if it's a people-driven, it becomes a tree growing exercise. Because the people will remain in those regions, own up and adapt those trees.
Okay.
Because a lot of trees have been planted in the past, but they don't mature up because after planting and photo ops,
nothing is done.
The 22 helicopters that go back to Nairobi,
and then we forget
about it. But if it's a people-driven, that's why I was saying that in the front page, it needed to have the people so that we can talk about how to achieve the 15 billion target.
Right. Let me just pick it up from there, Kimani, and then bring it, you guys, with the story that is there on the Business Daily. IMF deal behind Kenya's forest cover drive. You're saying if it's driven by the people, it's going to be an initiative that the people will make sure succeeds, right?
Yeah.
But is it really by the people? If, as part of this fund, what went into the tree planting exercise is from IMF, and we know we have our own issues with IMF and lending facilities into Kenya. As a nationwide tree planting got underway yesterday, President William Ruto was holed up in a meeting at State House with an IMF mission, which was led here by representatives Selim Chakir and Haimanot Tefera. So as part of the fund, which is 551.4 million USD, it is a facility for climate change, and part of it is for Kenya's forest cover plan for more than 10.6 million hectares. And this took 7.2 million Kenyan shillings, or this is going to take 7.2 million Kenyan shillings. If IMF is funding our initiative towards climate change, do we still get to point fingers, Kimani? Because I know you we have been pointing fingers that way.
Yes.
Do you still point fingers at IMF?
When you hear the word IMF as a Kenyan, what comes to your brain or your mind?
A debt burden.
A debt burden. And the question we should be asking, because we saw that the government had hired choppers for ministers to go around planting trees. Was it a grant? Is it a loan? Or what is it? What business does IMF have in our climate? Because yes, we may say that we need to adapt or we need to get to 15 billion, but it's not the Kenyan people want to get there. Maybe it's the IMF. And that's why I love that it has been captured there, and Kenyans need to ask this question. But who should ask this question? Remember, going back to our constitution, the oversight body should be the parliament. We didn't have this budget included in our budget. Neither was it included in the supplementary budget that is going to be tabled. So we need to ask interim questions about where were the resources for funding this day gotten from.
Right.
Is it a loan or is it a grant or was it raised by well-wishers?
Right. Lincoln, what do you think we will be achieving? One, with this tree planting exercise, 15 billion is a target by 2032.
Yeah.
And also, secondly, still the same question I've just asked Kimani there is, if kama mtu ananilisha bado simpendi, do I still complain ama ninakula tu na mambo iko sawa?
Okay, it's a fact that it's good for us to conserve our environment. Hiyo ni kitu ya maana sana. And then again, sometimes, okay, when we speak about IMF, there's something that comes to the minds of Kenyans, especially those with bigger brain. But again, I can say this is a deal with the government, but it's not a bad deal, although we do not know exactly what was given out, because maybe it was not disbursed to all the people, and maybe the government was supposed to finance was to buy each and every tree that was supposed to be planted. Maybe people were supposed to be paid, and we should agree that we are living we have one of the corrupt regime. That's something that we should admit. And so we also need to know if it's a government doing business with the people again, taking advantage, manipulating the advantage. And again, finally, for me, as a Kenyan, okay, for as long as it's tree planting, I know the benefits that come from green climate. When the climate is good for me, everything is okay. So for me, okay, I can say yeah. Right. But also we need to know
what are the details of
the
disbursement?
The disbursement.
All right. Kimani, I'll bring it back with you with just one other thing we discussed before, which is what the West needs to do, or the global North needs to do in terms of reparations, and also getting to pay back in the effects of climate change. They've, some of these effects are coming from what the emissions looking like. Yeah, they have the biggest carbon footprints. They're the biggest emitters, and this could also be part of the money we wanted from them. No.
Before I come to that, we need to rethink and how we achieved or how we got to having a National Tree Planting Day.
Yeah.
We recently hosted the African Climate Summit, where we had some. We came up with something that is going to be tabled in the global climate summit that is going to be happening in Dubai.
Yeah.
And that is how we have gotten up to where we are. And there are things that were raised that Africa is just the hub where we are the lungs to the world, where we are able to purify the air, but we gain nothing from it. We are also the most affected region when it comes to pollution, the effect of pollution, that is global warming, and we are not the greatest polluters.
Right.
I think it is time as a nation we pass laws that gives something we call carbon credit, that for every tree we plant, and these rules should be passed in Kenya, taken to African Union, so that we can compel all other unions, like the European Union, USA itself is like a union itself, to give carbon credit to us. Going back to your question, indeed, I think we have not been told the sources of resources, but I think this is the first indications that we have started being paid, or the call for global warming and call for action have started paying off. But the question should be, is Wanjiku in Taridweku village in Laikipia, where I spent my weekend, feeling the impact of this tree planting?
Okay.
Is Kamau, who is a businessman outside his region in Kisumu, feeling the impact of the resources that have been brought up into this tree planting exercise?
All right. Lincoln, there yesterday as well, maybe just as we wrap up on that tree planting exercise yesterday, several leaders participated, the president, the CSS, the opposition, including Raila Amolo Odinga, who I see here on page... what page was that?
Page 4 of the Daily Nation.
Right. I have mine on page 6. Oh, the Raila story is on page 6 of the Daily Nation, but page 4 as senior state officials and governors who are planting trees across the country. CS Kindiki says that climate change is now is a threat to national security, and that all of us should take this activity seriously in trying to mitigate the effects of climate change, soil erosion. Now we have El Nino, and this is going to help us also, raise the cost of living, according to President William Ruto. Raila also really happy about this exercise. Governors from the ODM side and the opposition also really happy. Is this another sign of national unity?
Yeah, it's in Kenya, we are united by many things. Yeah. We can be united by problems. We can be united by fuel. Fuel prices rise. We can even be united by such a thing. But for Raila Odinga to support this, Raila Odinga has been doing this. Remember, the people of Rift Valley today, they enjoy a good climate, courtesy of Raila's energy and kujitolea to plant trees in Mau. Remember, Mau was one of Nene. So what Raila is doing, I think Raila feels good when akiona zile vitu ambazo wangetaka zifanyike zikifanyika. So for me, I could not, I didn't expect any leader to criticize this. Yes. Although, when you ask me, I'll say the government officials and these politicians were paid. I can say they are paid to do this.
Right.
But the little mwananchi,
it's a big fun.
Yeah,
bro,
but the mwananchi who has to wake up early, the chiefs and the local chiefs are mobilizing them, go plant trees. No, the mwananchi has wanted to go look for kibarua, get something to eat. So I think this thing, if there was money, I think they were supposed to be, Mwananchi was supposed to get something at the end of the day. Yeah. Was supposed to we were all supposed to benefit, because not the leaders alone. I think next time we need to look at this.
Right.
Again, these trees that were planted, we also need to ask ourselves who will take care of them, because the rain season, when the rain season is over, hizi vitu zinaweza kauka. What will happen?
Right.
We need to, now this is the time we need, like Kimani and others who are leaders of youth. We need to have small groups of youth being paid to make sure that the trees are.
That's what this fund should go to, right?
We need to create an employment for our youth through these funds, because they are there.
Right. Isn't it funny though that also we are planting trees when it's raining? Like, we should have planted trees before the rains. Now we're planting when it's flooding, and then probably maintenance will also be a problem.
I think this is the best time to plant trees.
Okay.
So when the soil is already wet, when the soil is moist, I think because you don't need to come with watering them.
Okay.
And because the Kenyan rains are sometimes unpredictable, so you have to ensure that it is.
But we had information this time. I feel like we should have just planted the week before El Nino.
But this El Nino drama has been. Is it going to be happening or not going to happen?
We are not yet. We do not know if it's El Nino yet.
We are at El Nino. We are at El Nino.
El Nino. Raila yesterday and all other opposition leaders also participated in this tree planting exercise. Personally, I joined Fidrugwasi Foundation, where we were joined at BD Primary School, where we were joined by an ODM MP, George Aradwa, who is also a big wing in that opposition function, and we were able to plant about 2,000 trees
Nice.
within BD primary school and the community.
All right.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because we have the foundation, that is Faith Rugwasi, Faith Nora Rugwasi Foundation, has partnered with the business community as the sponsors of the tree, and then the residents association. So the trees that we are planted in the resident associations are going to be taken care of by the residents.
Okay.
That is what I'm talking about, ownership.
Okay.
The trees that we are planted by the school, we have an environmental club within the institution, and yes, the schools are closed, but the students committed, the pupils, committed to be taking care of this. We are not talking, and the conversation should be tree growing. And if we see the opposition joining, we see the government joining, it's a good thing. But the question I beg to ask, were they joined by the love of the environment or by the love of the funds and the finances?
Right. One thing you've brought up there is using students, and that's what the state is planning to do, to use schools to hit that 15 billion trees target by 2032. Each learner in primary or secondary school in the country is expected to grow 4 trees per year. Nationally, there are about 8 million learners in primary school. They'll be expected to plant at least 32 million trees per year. So if we do that, and each teacher trainee is also expected to plant 10 trees per year, and the current enrollment in colleges is 20,000, so it translates to about 200,000 trees per year, and hopefully by 2032 we hit 15 billion. Are you optimistic about using schools and colleges to raise 15 billion, Lincoln?
Yeah. Schools and the colleges, that's where most youths are. And the benefit of when the environment is at the best stage, then it's us who will benefit from this thing. So although we have some questions that we need to put across because of the ownership of these trees that we are planting, especially in the institutions and even down there. What type of trees should we plant? Where? And we need that knowledge, and I think it should start from primary schools.
Right.
And each student, maybe in the primary school, or every pupil should be, like, I think before, from class 1 to class 8, I think every year each student, we can, if it was me, I could make sure that each student or each pupil can have around 10 trees per year to plant around 10 trees per year.
4 is too little.
Yeah. So we make it as a culture. Yeah.
Because they're the future, and we are trying to protect their future, so it's important they take it into their own hands as well. Okay, so that was tree planting yesterday.
And maybe to add that this tree planting, we are talking about unemployment as a nation. It can be a source of employment because we are talking about tree growing. We should ask our youths. To form groups and start protecting environment as they look for carbon credit. How can you do that? We saw a place that in Gilgil, there is a place they planted more than 10,000 trees. We know Gilgil in January is going to be very dry. Why don't you look for recycle? Why don't you recycle or reuse water bottle and soda bottles? Put them water, and there is that traditional way of irrigation, and it has been proven to be working. If this tree growing exercise should create employment for our youth who are willing and able to be innovative and give their time towards the same, because we cannot solely depend on students because they also have to run, and they cannot go outside the jurisdiction or near the institutions. But for the entire nation where we have done this in forest, I think it's good for the youths within that community to form a youth group, youth organization, and to start adapting those trees and ensuring that those seedlings are transformed to trees. Maybe through that they can now start looking for funds to do that. But don't wait as a Kenyan and say that now that trees has been planted, funds are going to come. Form yourself in groups and start adapting those trees, and through that you can now start looking for the funds for conserving this environment, and that is what Ruto has been, the Ruto regime has been talking about, carbon credits.
Okay. All right, that wraps us there on matters of climate change and also climate protection from the National Tree Planting Exercise. Let's get into a bit of the oil business now. And then page 9 is of the Standard is what I want us to use as our reference, but it's also the main story on the Daily Nation. KPA has disowned Anne Njoroge, businesswoman who presented documents saying that 17 billion worth of diesel, which landed at the port, belongs to her, and she has been missing since she presented herself to the DCI to record statements. Lincoln, now when you take a look at this story, you have a business person who's missing. The lawyers are in court saying they have the right papers. KPA, whose managing director, coincidentally, is called William Ruto. And, you know, I thought it's a typo at first when I looked at the Standard, and then I confirmed it with the Daily Nation. It's called William Ruto. It looks nothing at all like the president, but the managing director, they're saying, holding the papers. Actually, the Daily Nation was showing him, you know, holding the fake documents up, right? I think that's there.
On page 10 of the Daily Nation.
Page 10 of the Daily Nation.
Lincoln,
when you look at this deal, what comes to mind? What comes to your mind? Because the first question that the Standard is asking here is, who owns what?
Here, now you learn that when we say there are cartels in the fuel industry, now at least you can get some understanding kidogo. Now Anne says that there's this controversy here, because Anne says that she imported 100,000 metric tons of diesel, and now KPA says that this thing does not belong to Han.
And it's 93, and they're saying on their side it's 93,000.
It's 93,000. And then now there's a question here about Han. Someone is talking about 100,000. KPA speaking about 93,000 metric tons. So this difference of 7,000 metric tons. So is it Anne who has done this and KPA? Is it a war between Anne and KPA? Anne asking about 7,000. Is the 7,000 bringing confusion here? Is Anne a cartel or a certified dealer? We have maritime laws, and those are deeper laws, because we do not have that capacity to understand the Sharia ziko pale ndani. But we as Kenyans, there are little things that we need to also to ask ourselves. Why is Han missing after she
went to
the DCI?
Right.
We also saw the same thing happened to this Rai. Rai alipotea for some days, and from there we saw him in State House when the king was there.
Right.
So is this michezo ambazo zinachezwa na serikali inachezea mwananchi? And again, hii haituhusu sana. What exactly we need to know is why the fuel in Kenya inaenda ikipanda juu, why the prices are going up every day.
Right.
I think that's what Kenyans need.
Right.
Because when we speak about someone imported, a cartel and everything, cartel fighting with the KPO and everything, that is none of our business.
That's true.
That is none of our business. Again, when you look this story deeply, you find that the KPA managing director, there's this guy called Tayari. Tayari is saying that that matter is in court and he doesn't want to speak much about it. So now we cannot.
There are too many questions.
There's
here.
Too many questions. There's a lot of information that we need to know.
All right.
Yeah.
Our main important question, though, is why is the fuel prices up?
Yeah.
And probably this story paints us a picture, as you said there earlier on, that, you know, when people are speaking of cartels and people are speaking of, shady deals and at the port when it comes to these public issues.
Yeah.
Now you get to put you get to put faces into this kind of stories. Kimani?
Before I even go to details, I want to touch the name of the companies that are disputing.
Okay.
We have Garana Energies, and whenever a Kenyan see a Garana before these before this fuel scandal, they remember the Garana Kuraru scandal.
Yes.
But now coming back, I think
It's the name of all scandals.
it is the name of irrigation scandals. We never thought that it's going to touch even water in the seas because where
It was on
the
land
seas.
back then. Yes.
If you look at this story, even before I ask myself, what is Kenya asking? A few months ago, the government signed a government-to-government deal that said that, that says that for you to import fuel in Kenya, you have to go through the government, and the government, through the ministry involved, that is the Ministry of Energy, is going to license and authorize people who are supposed to be importing fuel. Then all of a sudden we hear a Miss Anne, who is not licensed or authorized to import fuel, imports how many metric tons?
100,000.
100,000.
But it's
Metric
said
tons.
that this 100,000 metric tons is only 49.
Only 49 should be in Kenya. The rest
in Kenya,
the rest
should
going
go to South Sudan and DRC.
and
Yeah.
Uganda as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Importing 100 metric tons, regardless of how they are going to be distributed. Remember, even the fuel that is being used in Uganda is still going through the government-to-government deal.
Deal, right.
Yeah.
The fuel that is going to Southern Sudan is supposed to be going to that. These are private individual, and this government-to-government deal, you don't pay today, you pay after some time, when the inflation may have changed, favoring the importer vis-a-vis Wanjiko, who is consuming the fuel then. This raises and opens the eye of Kenyans about a looming scandal or an existing scandal within the fuel energy sector that is costing us at the pump to overpay what is supposed to be paid.
Right.
Remember that yes, we are told about wars affecting fuel in Kenya, but that does not translate to the cost of fuel because we look at our neighboring Tanzania here. We know that the cost of fuel is decreasing, but we expect today to be punished with increased fuel prices after yesterday's holiday. Maybe it was for us to rest. And going back to something else,
Yes.
the entire story is fishy because even the papers that she produces are signed by one individual, and they were saying that that is not possible because that individual needs to be in the ship, needs to be in where in the loading area, and also the dates that it's claimed that the voyage took in the ocean are not adding up.
Right.
Maybe she has a valid claim, but somebody else, either within the government or the fuel industry, conned her.
Right.
And told her that we are going to import for you fuel 1,000 metric tons. And they knew that there is a ship that is coming with that voyage, a voyage that is coming with almost the same. And 934, you can round off to...
Like, yeah, ingine mwagika kidogo
Yes,
kwa njia.
and she paid the payments, so she may be making a valid claim. We should not dismiss her.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's missing, so
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
very
Missing.
valid. Could be very valid.
The DCI has not yet given us a
Statement.
And I
Statements.
know the DCI Inspector General has been sued, but the question should be, we should also investigate. We know we can claim that she has been abducted by the government, abducted by the government, and we found that the one who conned her might also be responsible.
Okay.
Because if you are able to give these, you are able to even give an original bill of lading. That means you need to be a very well connected individual.
Right.
Because if you they even have her papers have stamp of these Hungai
The ship.
The
MT
ship.
Haigui.
yes
Haigui.
ship. So it is a well planned scandal,
Quite a name.
and Wanjiko is asking herself the question,
what I see happening is by Friday, when EPRA is reviewing its prices, they'll point to Israel Hamas and also point towards this. Wanasema diesels mnajua imekwama pale coast kidogo. It's an issue, so fuel shortage, and therefore prices have to go up. So that's probably what is going to happen in this saga, and you can read for yourself on page 10 of the Daily Nation, and the Standard as well has it on page 9. Intrigues behind 17 billion mystery of petrol depends. Gentlemen, we've had quite a discussion. It's 9:43 in the morning. We want to have a look at any other story, of course, that is here, because we have 5 or so minutes. Kimani, there was a swimming lady. There was also something here on the Business Daily about the loans.
I want to go with that story of the loans, but East African community, if we go to take a loan from IMF and other lenders, our loan is 60% as a nation more expensive vis-a-vis Uganda and Tanzania and other nations in East Africa.
Right.
We need to ask ourselves the question, why? Is it that there are kickbacks involved? Is it because of inflation? Is it because they are doing that because we seems to be headed to defaulting or defaulting this repayment? We need to ask ourselves why. Because yes, numbers do not lie. If we are paying 60% more, we are the most developed nation, we should be actually paying 60% less what they are paying.
Right.
That is a story that needs to be relooked at, and I want to dare the National Assembly to look at this, because we are losing investors. Our stock exchange is losing investors because of the cost of these loans that we are taking.
Right. Lincoln, they're saying that the analysis of the returns here show that Kenya is now borrowing at a rate of 15%, which is compared to Tanzania, they're doing it at 9%. Rwanda, 9%. Uganda, 12%. So this has made investors actually prefer to lend the government even than to lend us, and others also fleeing this republic. What does this? What do you think then is going to happen to our stock exchange? And also the shilling is currently weakening against the dollar as well.
I want to summarize this.
Okay.
That in the country right now, we have been put in a system whereby if you don't adapt, you must die.
That's the ultimatum.
I'm sorry to say that, but you see, everything today, everything is changed. We do not know everything. We're expecting everything to change, prices of stuffs to go high, but the salary to remain the same. People are losing jobs every day. These are things that we are not looking at, we are not discussing. Investors are running away, and we are getting expensive loans every day. What are we doing? We are sinking. What is our parliament doing? Nothing. The VAT bill, walipitisha, what happened?
Now they're
the
telling
supplementary budget.
Now they're telling the president to lower the cost of living.
Yeah. What's their work? We have the most useless parliament. We should agree that. We have a clueless leadership right now. And that's why you cannot tell me someone who has gone to school very well. We have professors in the country. We have one of the best economic advisor by the name David Inde, and this is what the economy is doing. Either the level of corruption are going high. It is no longer a sin. It is a way of life. Or there's something behind what they are doing. Or someone else is controlling them. Why are we overtaxing investors? Why are investors running away? We should be attracting them. We know, for example, I know if I asked you for more, you won't buy. For example, if I have a business and what I'm selling at 50 million and the Kimani is selling at 30 million.
Right.
I know the customer won't buy from me, but I still insist at 50 million. What am I doing?
You're losing them.
I'm losing them.
Right.
What will I gain after losing?
Nothing.
Then what are we doing as a
We're
country?
losing investors to Tanzania.
Yes.
Businessmen are moving.
And that's the thing. That's a topic of another day, and I would like you to invite us.
Right. Definitely.
Purposely for that.
Right.
And that's where now That's my job now.
Right.
How we can create jobs for our youth, how we can generate the economic growth, and things that we need to do, and things that we need to observe.
Okay. All right.
But a topic for another day.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kenya's loans 60% more expensive. Investors are fleeing, and the economy is sinking. Ask yourself some questions and ask your government as well. Kimani, Wachira, any last story before I lock us out?
Women swim across flooded Tana River.
All right, here,
to
Tana
deliver
River.
son in a hospital.
Mohammed Bilal, 4 days old today, but when he grows up and takes a look at this story, in 20 years' time, atashtuka sana.
Yes, on page 3 of the Daily Nation, that story is given of a heroic woman who had to swim a flooded Tana River, and you know some section of Tana River has crocodiles. To go in the river, a future of this nation, and that talks and give us talks so much about how prepared are we for the El Nino. We knew that El Ninos are going to come. We were advised, and we had committees planning for such things, and it was good as a nation for us to map within the areas that are prone to flooding how many people are pregnant there, when are their due dates, so that we can make as a nation, or our county governments of the same regions can make proper planning. What will have happened if this woman, who was full of hope, who was full of determination, would have swept away by those waters? Yes, we have seen helicopters going to rescue people, and we have also seen Kenyans risking their life to crossing flooded.
You know what C.S. Kindiki said yesterday? That if you're in a flood-prone region, you either move out ama to move out.
Yes.
Forcibly. That's the solution that the government is offering people in these regions.
And this solution will have been given prior to when we are having the conversation on, are we going to have El Nino or is it going to Hell Nino? And this story is a good story,
Right.
but it's a sad story.
They're calling it heroic in the Daily Nation, and it should be sad.
It should be sad.
This isn't a story of inspiration.
Because we know that Tana will always flood and burst. And the distance that the woman had to cover, I asked myself, why don't we have a dispensary that has a maternity wing in the other side of the bank where the woman was coming from?
All right.
And also, where were the community health workers that we launched the other day?
100,000 of them.
Where were they when this woman was risking the life of the unborn baby and her life to go to swim across a river that is crocodile infested, and it's flooded? No stones and pebbles may have been carried away in the upper part. Where were they? But we thank God that she has delivered a strong kid, and I hope that is going to be an epitome of hope to other Tana River residents, and maybe become a governor and address the challenges that the current leadership has been unable to address.
Right. Well, you see, you go to Twitter and find deputy governors and governors of several counties also complaining about El Nino, and you wonder what their role is at that point. Hopefully, Mohammed Bilal will get to correct things in a couple of years to come. He's the future, and I wish him a good upbringing. Right.
I wish him to be a heroic hero, because he had a heroic birth.
Right.
And I wish him all the best.
He's on the front of the news on day 3. Day 3 of life.
How hard some of us waheshimiwa, we have worked hard
to get into the front. And day 4, Jamako.
And how much people have to pay
to get into
appear.
Yeah. All right. Before I wrap it up, I just want to give one more information, which is on page 14 of the Standard. And finally, we are going to get a distribution of the mosquito nets. So, community health workers, hopefully they get to distribute this across the country. And it's going to be 23 million, the number of people to receive this. So it was the Ministry of Health. You remember, I don't know if you saw this, Kimani, sometime back, KEMSA. The scandal with these nets by Global Fund. Yeah, so finally they found someone else to do it. And KEMSA, we know that they lost their jobs, whoever was involved in this. So be hopeful that in this El Nino time, you will be getting mosquito nets.
And maybe to note, the appointment for the KEMSA boss was a very good guy, we hope that Inungo Nyakera is going to work and ensure that as he go back home, there are no scandals that will follow him, because Kemsa is should always be a crime scene.
It is a crime scene. It's been a crime scene since COVID-19.
I think the guy who was given there,
now we have mosquito net millionaires. It's
PS reshuffles.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah. I think that guy is up to the task. He has so far been working well. We have seen more disbursement of medical things, and I think if we have such more people in other departments that are scandalous, it will be good for our nation.
Okay, I'll pass this to you. This is the Business Daily. I want you to give it over to Lincoln, because I know you're a man of many quotes, so I know you have your own quote. Lincoln, there's a quote at the back of the Business Daily. That's the one you will finish with when we all give one quote each to wrap the show. I'm going to give a chance to Kimani at this point to give us a last word. It's 9:53 in the morning, so we're trying to close the show at this point. And for all those who have been joining us on the newspaper review section, we are really happy and grateful that you created time. Kimani, one last thing you have to say, and then your quote, and then you get to Lincoln. Lincoln, I'll give him 1.5 minutes or two, because he also has to say one or two things to our first-time viewers, maybe who might not be aware of his capacity. 44 Bulldogs, mambo kama hayo, big shout-outs, and then we wrap it up.
Thank you very much. Today I want to talk to the youth of this nation and tell them that there is a lot of resources and donor money in climate and agriculture. Yesterday we had a National Tree Planting Day. Don't sit down and wait for those resources to be eaten by those who are over 40. You are a youth. You are innovative. You are creative. Come with innovative and creative solutions and try to implement them, even without resources, so that when you are going to look for these resources, you will have something to show that you have attempted. Let us start to that. So because we are so much complaining on social media and forgetting about the opportunities that are also there and brought up in the social media. Lastly, I want to invite my good friends from this nation. On Saturday, we'll be visiting a children's home in Githunguri with Kuksa, and most of the Kuksa members are students from KU. After this, I'm also headed to Karen. We are going to have a conversation about our students who are going on board, and I know that most of the people who are watching me will be joining there in Karen, tupatane huko Karen. And I will end with a quote that yesterday being a tree planting day, I will talk about trees. A tree does not withdraw its shade from those who are cutting it, and a tree is not shocked by the axe, but the handle that makes the axe that cuts it. Thank you very much for hosting me.
Wow, that's a heavy one. A tree is not shocked by the axe, but by the handle on the axe that is cutting it. Nice. Lincoln.
I'll say that a slave that does not rebel requires no mercy. The problems that we have, are not our personal problems, and we need to solve them. Because of time,
yes,
I don't want to spend much time.
Yes,
I'll just say my name is Lincoln. Social media, I'm Lincoln Mapesa. I'm an aspiring MP in Kilome constituency. In Nairobi, I'm a leader of youth. I run a CBO called Ujana na Ujuzi in Zimmerman. I'm the head of the football 44 Bulldogs FC. That's a big football.
yes.
And what we're doing, I am one among the youths. Wale tunaambia watu, we have to solve problems. It's not about complaining every day, but use your position to solve the problem for you, for the people around.
Okay.
Now, for example, my youths pale chini, tuko na mambo na mental health. Hiyo ndio kitu ambayo inasumbua watu sana. Na watu waelewi mental health issues ni nini. I want just to give ka example kidogo. It's like, for example, you get an message that one of your favorite friends amepata accident, and then, for example, uko kwa barabara, you are driving, and then the next thing umeenda kwa petrol station umejaza mafuta, now you're driving very fast kwenda kuangalia huyo mtu. You see, you are risking the life of other people and you also risking yourself. Hiyo kwanza ni kitu inaonyesha uko na some mental problem. Now for the youths pale wenye niko na wao, mambo na mental issues, tumeweka vitu zinaitwa vijana msafi pale Githurai 45, whereby vijana ambao hawako job, but they kuna kitu kama wanapata.
All right.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
What they can.
Okay.
Tunawaleta pamoja mambo na okay.
I've been told to say hi to
Najua ni time hakuna.
Okay, ni time hakuna. So I think we'll get to discuss that another time.
Yeah. I've been told to say hi to you by Mwandime.
And Nick Mwandime.
And I've been and he has told me to wish Fidelma a happy birthday. Fidelma is one of the friend.
Right.
And also I've been told to say hi by Bruce Newton. And he has invited you to his digital launch on December 1 at Blue Post Hotel in Thika.
All right, thank you very much for that invite. I'll make sure that I create time for it, and thank you guys for also creating time for me. Lincoln and Kimani, asante sana. For all those who also tuned into the show from the morning, this has been Biashara Tuesday. I was here yesterday as well on Art and Culture Monday, so it's a wrap for Rise today. Until we meet again next Biashara Tuesday, my name is Richard Okenye. Engage with me on all social platforms at Richard_Okenye. May your profits be high and your jokes even high, and don't forget to laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you.